there is no difference between men and women's skin. Men's skin is thicker because of more testosterone, but in general, the active ingredients are going to be the same.
They are medical grade strength. They are active skincare, and they're going to make transformations, and they're going to make change, and they're going to do what you want them to do in time. But there is an adjustment period.
What are the core components, in your opinion, of an anti-aging protocol? All right, Jamie, welcome back.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So last time we spoke, it was actually kind of before we started working with each other, before we started carrying the line. So now it's kind of like a sequel, right?
Yeah.
After we've been working together for a while. Yeah. And working with you, what is very interesting to me is your decision making. You seem to have, first of all, we get approached by people in conferences, things like that. Hey, I'm getting coached by Jamie, or my protocols are, they call it Jamie Ann normally. I don't know. I'm calling you Jamie.
Except that this is the situation I have now, because I have called my brand Jamie Ann Aesthetics for so long. So now people approach me and they say, "Are you Jamie Ann?" And it's like, sure. I just might as well, go with it. My middle name.
Yeah. But what's interesting to me is it seems that they all have a very personalized understanding, an understanding of their skin, their personal needs, etc., which I can tell you at scale is very difficult to do. So it's very interesting to me, the way that you do it. It's actually very inspiring. So maybe we can start with, when you do consultations, online consultations, how do you assess skin? What's your intake process like?
Well, I have them fill out a form ahead of time. So that kind of gives me a rounded idea, because the consultations themselves are pretty quick. And some people understand this concept, and some people are like, wait, don't you need to see my skin in person, or do you need me to send you pictures? And I really don't, because a lot of things are going to fall into specific categories. And a lot of times people's misconceptions and perceptions of their skin is not quite accurate. So I like to get a lot deeper. There's so much more detail involved. So if they're riddled with acne, okay, we're riddled with acne. I don't need to see a photo of that. You're going to tell me. I'm going to ask you questions. So the intake form happens. I, review it before we get on the call, and I have a good idea of exactly where we're going to focus the conversation. And I get right into it. So it's like, okay, so your goals seem to be like, a lot of people are going to say the same things: anti-aging, less breakouts, heal scarring. I have patterns, a lot of patterns of similar ones. I have a category basically that is unrealistic expectations, which is everybody's goal in the consultation form. So depending on how heavy that portion is for them will depend on how the conversation goes. So that part is in everybody's forms. It's anti-aging, get rid of wrinkles, get rid of hyperpigmentation, get rid of melasma, these things that are not actually realistic, no matter what I prescribe. You talk about this. So there's that section of it. But furthermore, it goes into diet, background, what you're using currently, daily routine, what your diet is for like at least the last 3 days. Like, give me kind of a background of how you eat, supplements, history with birth control, history with any type of internal testing or autoimmune issues. Like, I need to know all of those things going into it, which play a role in everything. So it's not so much like seeing skin, feeling skin. It's this conversation and this bulk understanding that gives me a more rounded out idea of exactly what we should be focused on. And this is how I get specific with people. So let's say somebody says, I want to reduce wrinkles, but I also have breakouts. My skin's super sensitive, and I also have leftover acne scars. Like, there's sections that will take this in. And what I tell them, it's like, we're not going to hit everything all at once right now. We're not going to address every single thing. What I'm going to tell you is what is priority. So if you're still dealing with a lot of breakouts, and we still have to also consider that you have sensitive skin, we have to approach it with okay, how do we get the breakouts under control first? That's the first part, but also taking into consideration that you're sensitive. So how hard are we going to, address this? Like how strong are the
Yeah.
breakouts going to be? So there's that portion. Then we go straight into the diet because the breakouts are going to be correlated with the diet and
Yes.
exactly what their lifestyle is, stress. A lot of people get very honest about their life in those forms where it's like they're dealing with, some recent trauma, I have a lot of women recently with miscarriage issues.
Wow.
So there are hormones, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I will be very honest and raw with them where I'm going to say, this is where you need to focus. I don't care about your skincare right now.
Yeah.
You just had a few miscarriages back to back. You not only have emotional stress and trauma, your body has emotional stress and trauma. Your hormones are completely on a roller coaster. It doesn't matter what I put on your skin. We
Yeah.
focus here first. And these are the things.
100%.
And I do a lot of like recommendations for in my opinion, what should be before any, diet even and skincare is the, nervous system work.
Hmm.
We are putting this on the back burner so often, myself included. And I know all this stuff. Like, how many times a day do I go and regroup, do a little meditation, do a little, breath work session? I don't, unless I actually am getting really worked up and physically have like a
Hmm.
issue, and then I focus on it. But it should be an everyday practice to keep that regulated. That's like the first step that I'm looking at,
But
especially with people that
but
are.
I think you specifically, it's you have things. So first of all, yourself, you've moved from the center of stress, of this stress universe, to I mean to a much more calm lifestyle. And the way you like, it's very interesting because the way you've set up your life, just like the decision making you've had along the way, even like going from in-person practice to online, it's like all of it is kind of okay, how do I improve my relationship with my reactive relationship with life, right?
Mhm.
And I think what's interesting is you mentioned, hey, if you have issues like acne or skin sensitivity, we don't even want to speak to the skin right now. And and then you mention immediately diet. And I think most people don't are not aware how like their gut, and then the gut affecting their immune system, manifests itself in the skin. Like really, your most people that have reaction to things that they shouldn't have reactions to, as far as topically, you got to fix the gut, and through the gut, the reactive immune system, like before you do anything.
It's very rarely the products, and I say
Yeah.
it's the products. I'm sorry, it's the person, not the product. So, and that's a harsh thing to say because a lot of people are going to see a reaction from a product and assume that it's the same. And what they don't understand sometimes is if you have a actual reaction to a product, that will be immediate, it will be all over, and it will be a specific thing. So it'll be burning sensation, redness, inflammation. Like there's a whole thing that is a reaction. When
Hmm.
something pops up weeks later and you correlate it to the product, it's something underlying that's going
Yeah.
on, that's having that response, not reaction to the product. So again, going back to kind of the consultation, it is ways that I have to address these things with clients. So, especially when they have acne, sensitivity, anti-aging, get rid of wrinkles, get rid of melasma in one, you know, concern and goal, we're not going to be worried about all that kind of stuff all at once. The anti-aging will come later because guess
Yeah.
what? When your skin gets healthy, the side effect to that is anti-aging benefits all around. So,
Yeah.
and a lot of times people will also look at their diet and say, I'm eating really healthy, and they've been doing animal based or they've been doing carnivore, and things still aren't getting better, and they don't quite understand that that's not always the medicine. So I wish that it could be, and it sometimes is for certain people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's underlying conditions. So no matter what diet you're piling on top, if you don't fix the bottom line, then you're not really fixing it ever. And
Hmm.
especially if you've never been tested, and a lot of them have been, but it's all, standard testing.
Yeah.
So it's just going to their primary care, getting blood work. None of that's going to really show what exactly is going on in their gut. They're not focused on specific markers and levels for them as an individual. They're just kind of put in a category and grouped together. So I explain all of this to people and try and give them a better understanding of where I think it's more important to invest versus I don't sell skincare in my opinion. I want to help people fix their health and fix their skin. The skincare is support. It's there because it can show you and heal and create
Yeah.
these goals that you have, but it's so much further down the line. Like you have described back in the day when you said you have to be like the Tom Brady of skincare. It's like
Yeah.
you'll get there, but you have to actually build the foundation first. And it all starts with all the other stuff. And you
Yeah.
don't realize it. You just want me to fix your problem by giving you a bunch of products. And I don't feel morally right giving products to people or recommending products to people that I feel like if you don't do this stuff first, none of the products are going to matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah,
So
it's like a dentist doesn't sell toothpaste, but but they're gonna tell you need toothpaste and you need to use it regularly, right?
yeah. So I have these deep conversations with these women, really get super honest and transparent. I explain also that this is a longevity thing. This is not for me to give you a protocol to just test out. And if you want to, you have, every right to do so and I'm happy to guide you along the way. However, if you test something out for 3 to 6 months to 9 months, you switch to something else, we have no idea what those products really can highlight and do down the line.
Yeah.
And again, I kind of use myself as an example. It's like I've been doing this for 16 plus years. I haven't skipped a beat. I have
Hmm.
stayed on top of my skincare. I've been with the best and most amazing, most active products. I am constantly evolving it and on top of it, all of my dietary stuff, things like not drinking anymore, things like not doing Botox. Like it's a whole thing that have come over years of time. And
Yeah.
people are not, women specifically, are not realistic about this. They want something to fix their problem in 3 months,
Hmm.
not even in a month. I get so many follow-up emails, and I've already explained this to them where they're like, so it's been a couple months and I'm really not seeing any changes or improvements. Of course you're not. Are you kidding? It's going to take a very long time. And either you're in it and I'm in it with you and you understand that and we're going to have great skin years to come and long term, or you're not going to understand that you're going to keep bouncing around because you see, a shiny new toy or glass skin over here or Korean skincare over there and it's like I can't help those. I
You
can't
see
help.
Brad Pitt saying, "Yeah, I really like the skincare line that I made, and I don't know how to pronounce exactly." Uh, but so I get a lot of questions from men around Brad Pitt's skincare line.
Oh,
So
I bet. Kind of cool. So it's like a perfect, I think, it's like the biohacking skincare, I think is great for the unisex.
yeah,
Like it
yeah.
works for both.
Yeah, you would think, but it's crazy, and that I think it's actually please correct me if you have a different experience because it's just my experience. It seems that it's that men oriented skincare wasn't born. Obviously there is no difference between men and women's skin. Men's skin is thicker because of more testosterone, but in general the active ingredients are going to be the same.
Mhm.
I think men oriented skincare, like skincare for men, started because companies, and probably like huge companies like like Nivea or whatever, uh understood that they can sell another product to a household. Like it wasn't born from men wanting a different skincare from, you know, from their wife. Anywhere their wife probably is the one that told them to use skincare to begin with. It's just they did Nivea or whatever. Nivea, by the way, I have no idea if they even have
Heels.
skincare for men.
Heels have the men's line.
Kiehl's, okay, exactly. But like bigger companies are like, okay, we have to get more products into the vanity.
It's possible. There's also the other side. I'm gonna take myself as an example.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to formulate the like few little products that I'm trying to make myself, I
Which we're very proud of you that you're doing.
I
You're it's
They're
very cool.
nothing compared to
No,
the
no, no.
the
They
big,
are, they are, they
but
are what they are. It's
I'm trying to keep
fantastic.
it as simple as possible because I am trying to find something. that lazy men, because they're not going to do what women do as far as the skincare regimen. Like they can absolutely use a few products. They're usually going to
Yeah.
steal your life, which is already irritating.
Yeah.
I would love to have something that, because I just base it on Tyson, on my boyfriend. He barely does anything every day. I have to force him to even put on my one product because I need to be my test subject.
Yes.
How to find, because here's the thing with men is they don't want shine.
Yes.
Gloss skin. So the hydration factor plus some of the serums, they're not going to be able to get down with those because they look too. And I dealt with this with my male clients in office. Every time they facial, they're like, I'm really shiny. And I'm like, yeah, you're hydrated, your pores are cleaned out. It will calm down. Like, don't worry, you're not going to be like this forever. But also, yeah, it's finding that balance of like giving some of those benefits, but not giving you like girly skin. Like
I think, well, to get into, you're formulating now, which is, I think you're living in a different world than when we paid the first formulation consultant, which was probably 2016. And especially if you go the route that we went, which is like, who's the best? We're going to hire them. What happened was that the zeitgeist was people want to feel that they have something on their skin. Like women want to know there is something on their skin. Like 5 hours later, they want to be able to do this and say, it's still there, whatever that is. And that is today, I think it's malleable. I think men, like women, a lot of women actually don't want that. Other ones want like glass skin, whatever. I think there's a spectrum, but men definitely, for the most part, don't want that.
Yeah, they don't.
They want to have a product that they can use very quickly.
Yes.
That's on one end. Like there's no way, like even if they had like a 10 product regimen, the only way it would be possible is if everything vanishes off their skin immediately. They just need to press something 10 times, right? Like,
Jason only uses Youth Reset. That's the only one he uses. That's it.
That's what I wanted to tell you.
Doesn't use moisturizer, doesn't cleanse. That doesn't make me mad. I'm like, and he's got the best skin ever, so I don't. And now I'm trying to give him this one added thing. Okay, Youth Reset, and now you're gonna put my product on, and you're gonna let me know. And of course, he got a breakout and is now blaming. I'm like, okay, I've been wearing it every night. I'm not breaking out. Of course, you could have a little reaction, maybe because your skin has, no idea what skincare is ever.
Yeah.
But, it's a
but again, breakout a lot of the time, in my opinion. Okay, and by the way, we can go to specific ingredients like copper peptides, like NAD, like let me think of another one that is just like not something that AHAs, VHAs, okay, MCTs that people use in skincare, like acrylic acid, whatever. These ingredients do interact with the immune system. So technically speaking, your immune system might need to like adjust how it reacts to them. And in that adjustment, in different cultures, by the way, Anastasia obviously comes from a Soviet Eastern European culture. It's very common to be more aggressive with your actives, and therefore understanding that there is an adjustment period. I think
purging is a huge phase that happens with. I give this disclaimer. It's not only in my protocols, but I explain to everybody that, especially if they're not used to these products at all, they are medical grade strength. They are active skincare, and they're going to make transformations, and they're going to make change, and they're going to do what you want them to do in time. But there is an adjustment period for sure.
Yeah. So for sure. And on the back end, a lot of the times we even want that adjustment period to some extent. Like there are ingredients that are less common in skincare because you would have to pulse them on and off. Like there is algae extract that we're formulating for another company, and that would be also to be related with like infrared saunas. And you are not going to get most of the benefits from that if you have a constant percentage of it in your skin. You actually kind of need to not have it in your skin and then have it in your skin again, and a lot of things that are related to oxidative stress would have that Goldilocks zone to how often we should use them, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so since I have some questions for you that I was very interested in, I'll continue my exploration here.
Okay.
So I want to talk a little bit about like building the protocol, tools, ingredients, how you see things. So, what are the core components, in your opinion, of an anti-aging protocol? And by the way, if you don't like the word anti-aging, because I'm not a fan, to be honest. But like, if it's a word that you don't like, I would like you to tell me, hey, I use this instead, or do you use anti-aging because that's what your clients are familiar with? How do you see even the word, and then what are the core tenets there?
Well, that's exactly it, as I say it based on what people
For sure.
and connect with. I mean, I'm kind of the same way with you, but I haven't found a term that I really care for. One of my protocols that I just, my free downloads that I made is called the Age Well Guide. Age Well is, a good title for a guide, but I don't think I'd be able to like speak it so easily, I guess, like age well, pro aging, but I also think
No, I don't like pro.
not scientific.
Youthful function I like, but I think it's so nerdy and not sexy. But have you ever heard about the chain of places called Restore Hyper Wellness?
Yes, we have one actually.
So Jim Connolly, shout out to Jim Connolly, founder of Restore. Now they have a new thing because he sold Restore, which is called Humanaut. I think they only have it in Austin. We might go there
Okay.
when we're in Austin. Jim Connolly said something very interesting. He said that biohacking is a male word,
Yeah.
and that predominantly the movement, as time goes on, just the essence of the movement, just being younger and being, driving biological changes for youthful function, is going to be female oriented field long term, and that at some point women are going to have their own word, but no one knows what it is yet.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
I asked him if it's longevity. He said longevity is even a more male word. I don't know why he said that, but he said that. And also but what we do see, by the way, if you look at like places like A4M, that A4M stands for American Academy for Anti-Aging Medicine. They now even call their conference longevity. So I think there is a movement of espousing the benefits associated with anti-aging to the word longevity.
Okay.
Like in the 90s or 80s, where they said instead of sale, they said savings. Instead of discounts, they said savings.
Yeah,
But
there's just so many
but
words.
I don't know what the word is. But let's go with anti-aging. So what's the what are the tenets of the protocol?
Well, depending on how sensitive, let's just take sensitivity, I guess, off the table, just so that we can
Yeah.
get them like a heavy hitting. I start everybody with a moderate protocol. If they
Yeah.
don't have sensitivity and they're just looking for anti-aging, they're definitely not going to be in beginner stage. They're going to be more like advanced. So typically I start with, a good, more hydrating kind of cleanser, not super, super stripping or drying, especially because the anti-aging stuff that we're looking at, the age range is going to be more like late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, and on.
Yeah.
So we don't want super drying or stripping if they don't have any acne to deal with or anything like that. I leave that kind of off the table. I do, so I usually do adaptogenic cleanser for most of those protocols. Definitely the BioC peptide spray, because obviously we want the vitamin C, we want the peptides. So that's just there for more support, it's activation. And then I typically introduce 2 serums. So I'll have them start slow. So depending on, their skin type or exact specific concerns that they have, whether it be hyperpigmentation, fine lines, dullness, all this stuff will be my serum cocktail that I'll recommend. So it'll be a minimum of 2. I never really go over 2 for their first protocol. I don't find it necessary. So let's just start with 2, introduce the products to your skin, see how you do. One of them will be an AM and PM serum that I'll start with. So they'll use that same one, AM and PM. The second one, like a retinol or retinaldehyde, I'll have them start on PM only and start maybe every other night and see how it goes. If they notice that they're having sensitivity, I'll have them back off a little bit, maybe a third night.
And that can appear, 2, 3, 4 weeks in, right? Like that's important to know that relationship with vitamin A, which is retinaldehyde, is cumulative, right?
Exactly. So we'll just, and that's why I do these consultations, is because we stay in contact about what the stages are, because a lot of times they'll be fine. And then there's some people out there who have more sensitivity to it, and then we'll gauge it. We'll back off or add in. If there's no problem and they've been on it for months, I say try it every night and then gradually increase to day and night. Now that's with the retinaldehyde specifically, because it's, has sun safe components. So the retinol is the one that I'd say you could try it, but be, more cautious of the sunlight. Just make sure that you're not getting direct sunlight for too long. And then I usually do like 2 moisturizers. So it'll be a daytime moisturizer and a nighttime moisturizer. Nighttime, I want to be heavier. So I want it to really be that like moisturizing treatment overnight. Definitely an eye serum. And then I'll add in a monthly treatment. So this is where I get into like, you don't really need facials. Like you can absolutely get these benefits and do everything at home if you want to. You can always go get facials. They're not bad, but I'm trying to like guide people and coach people to be able to do these things themselves. I don't personally get facials, so let me teach you what I do. That's my job. So I do a monthly treatment. So that will include the exfoliating treatment. And because I'm not big on exfoliating, over exfoliating, meaning a few times a week, which is what a lot of skincare products or professionals will recommend, I'm anti that. So, and I've done this for years. So basically when I had clients in office, their exfoliating treatment was in office. That's when you get exfoliation. If there was a certain time, like let's say we did a peel and they were flaking a little bit, or it was like winter, maybe we'll have you do a in-between exfoliation treatment at home. But right now, let's just stick to once a month. And they also know their skin best. Sometimes they might need a little bit more help in that arena, but I want to get your skin sustainable and doing its thing on its own. It's shedding its skin every 30 days anyway. Like, let's support it rather than strip. So I want to make sure that they're supporting their natural oils, the natural, microbiome, and not, I think we've all gotten out of control with, over exfoliation, products that are damaging the barrier, whether it be chemical peels and, different, like we talked about, these invasive lasers and harsh toxic products and constant cell turnover that you're forcing. I don't understand that. Like, there, to a degree,
Well,
a little bit, but I think there's a balance.
Well, I'll tell you why I do understand that. Obviously, I 1000% agree with you. The reason I understand that is because this was the prevailing view led by Dr. Zainobaji 30 years ago, 25
that's all you have to say for the red flag too.
Exactly. But you could see companies like literally like look at companies that started around 30 years ago. It was even kind of the inception of like medical grade sold by physician type, which is like SkinCeuticals, Obagi, whatever, like all of those companies. And that was the holy grail. Like, hey, let's make the skin turn over. And when, people need to understand, turnover means cells split. They try to make new cells out of what they were. And also that is the process of renewal, which with age becomes slower. So the very, very simplistic logic is like, hey, let's make it faster. But to your point, the problem with that is that the reason that cellular turnover slows down is because the cells have an innate knowledge of what is their ability to turn over successfully, to turn over without depleting reservoirs, without having really bad quality collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid, whatever that is. And when you are pushing that limit, then we see myths like retinol thins out your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not true. If you are depleting all the reservoirs and then you're asking the skin to split, we see people who have been going through these protocols for 30 years, their skin is, first of all, kind of see-through, doesn't
Yeah.
matter their pigment
All the
level.
veins.
The veins, they are there, it's rigid, it's bruisable, it's really easily bruised, and it looks very thin.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those, and I don't mean to, I mean, I have a few more, but it gets meaner since here, so let's keep it like that. But that is the eventuality of that depletion of reservoirs. And
Yes.
you mentioned like the most, I think the most, probably the least sexy, but the most important discussion I don't see people having enough, which is skin barrier,
Yeah.
which is something that has been either ignored or treated as like what really cheap skincare companies say, like Strivectin or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is like healthy skin barrier. So maybe you could tell me, where does skin barrier health fit into your strategy?
Well, I kind of look at the skin barrier like in the most dumbed down way is like your wall in a way, where it's like, okay, do you want a really strong, thick, so to speak, wall that can basically, you can throw anything at it and it can just, bounce off? Or do you want this like thin, crumbling little wall that's like, you blow on it and it'll just fall over kind of thing? Like, I know
Mhm.
it sounds like a silly analogy, but it's just something I think of like, this is your layer that you want to make sure is not only like robust and strong, but not like weak and delicate. And it's kind of how I think about everything, like the body. And like I don't go to the doctor, I don't, do certain things that I'm just like, why do, I don't want to rely on anything else. I want to make sure my body is reliant on itself and sustainable on its own. So that's why I have to do these things to make sure that I'm building strong foundation through my diet, through, avoiding, toxins in, as much as I can, all these things so that my
Yeah.
body can withstand and be a strong wall, so to speak. So that's like how I look at the barrier, where it's just like, rather than harming it and like, I just want it to be like a caveman. Like I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
to just like handle itself. I want it to be able to go out into the sun and not burn and not have a bunch of hyperpigmentation. I want it to be able to put a product on and not get all red and irritated. Like to me, that's like a weak barrier. If you're
Yeah.
experiencing these things, to me, I think you've probably done too much in the past. It shows that maybe you've experimented a little bit and like all these fads of like, lasers, and maybe you've singed your skin off a bunch because a med
Yeah.
spa told you so, or, maybe you've just done too much, tried a bunch of products and done it all. And now your barrier's just kind of like shriveled and a little bit,
Yeah.
like scared of the world, where you go out in the sun and you're that person in this big hat. Like I am confident in my barrier. I'm confident in my skin. I go out in the sun like this. Sure, I wear a baseball cap now and then. If sun's hitting me, I embrace it. I'm like, this is good. It's feeding me nutrients. I'm not afraid of these things. And if I apply a product or derma roll or do these things that are like enhancing my products and enhancing my skin, then that is just like support for my barrier rather than scaring it and making it, if
100%.
that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense. And you mentioned derma roller last, but
I know
there
you don't
are
like them because of the roller. I know you like a
no, but I think derma roller. That's where I think I get misunderstood. Where if we were talking about our favorite subject, which is like Morpheus 8, then I would be very, I'd be very direct and say there is no way you're creating more benefit than harm. Like to tell you something like that, so you know that you can't go around. No one can promise you that they are the Morpheus 8 god that knows exactly the penetration levels and knows exactly the power that they need to relay in order to create the results in your skin. That doesn't exist. And by the way, that's not how the machine was built. Having said that, when I say, a derma pen or like a stamp is preferred to derma roller. I'm saying preferred. I'm saying like whatever, I know that it's a much easier process, a derma roller rather than a derma pen.
Yeah, that's a thing for me. So thank you for mentioning that, because it is easier. It is easier than, let's just take a stamp as an example, right? Like stamping is like this mechanism. A roller obviously is constantly moving. You can actually target an area more than once. So you're not just doing one roll.
I
That
agree.
equivalent to a stamp, right?
Yes.
Also matters, and I'm making my own derma roller right now as we speak. So this stuff is very important to me. But the needles, like many derma rollers have wheels with little pyramid shaped needles. So that can absolutely damage the skin when you're rolling and pulling the skin. When you have a singular needle that is just going in and coming right out, you're not causing skin damage or tears or pull to the skin. You also have to do it in an appropriate way, meaning you pull the skin tight.
Yeah.
You go over, and you also don't go any deeper than 0.25. I am not about doing on your face. Unless you have like deep pitted scarring, and you can absolutely go up in the derma roller for this and target specific areas. But when you're just talking about anti-aging benefits and improving skin health and, getting that barrier stronger, you do not need to go deeper than 0.25 millimeters. And that's just to basically, stimulate some blood flow. And we also want to penetrate the products, the active products you're using deeper. That is the main purpose. And anybody that claims anything other than that is just silly. So it's just there as a support and as an advanced system for people who want that.
I couldn't agree more. And not only that it is silly, from if you an end user relate to a 1.5 piston based pen that is really only the difference in penetration is really for that scar tissue.
Yes.
To something you do at home, in my opinion, it's the same delivery system, which are needles, but it's a different treatment.
Yeah, totally.
It's a different. It's almost. It's like I don't know. To give you a good example, I guess your teeth are a delivery system for food, but you could eat different things. I don't know. That might not be the best example, but
I understand. It makes sense. So basically, what you can do as a tool at home that isn't going to create damage, so to speak, is something like a derma roller, right? But you can always advance it further by doing something like a 1.5 millimeter microneedling treatment. Go get a little PRP or something. That might be something you go to the med spa and do. Some people do it at home. I wouldn't advise going that deep on your own if you don't know what you're doing. I would definitely stick to a professional for microneedling. I love microneedling. I'm just giving options and insight into like what you could achieve at home that you could actually do more often.
Yes.
Like a derma roller, other than paying, 500 plus for a microneedling treatment at a med spa that you're only doing, you have to stick to it in order for any benefits. Going 1 or 2 times is going to essentially do nothing for your
nothing.
Yeah.
And
do it.
And I think, order of priority, the pyramid of priorities over here, what the discussion someone's going to have with you is really at the bottom of the pyramid. It's a basic level that you cannot go around. There is no, if you're going to go, so that's another discussion. The amount of people asking me about CO2 lasers is concerning. Having said that.
Yes, and this is an influencer thing that's happened, is why it's becoming a bigger conversation, because so many influencers are going and getting like little mini CO2 laser treatments. It's absurd.
But I would say that because at the end of the day, our stance as a skincare company is like, we are a skincare company. We definitely have opinions that influence our decision making, but at the end of the day, we're not the only person whispering in that person's ear. So I need to make sure that I give advice that are also enabling, that are saying, our opinion is that you should not do X, but if you do X, here is how you make sure that at least you don't, what we care about is like biological age of the skin. At least you don't age your skin biologically. So talking about lasers, I don't think that they are the worst thing. If your decision is either a laser or, again, like Morpheus 8 or soft wave, which would be to me worse, or Kybella, which to me would be to me, really the end of the world. I'm okay with you doing a laser, but here's something you should consider. The laser isn't going to provide any benefits. What will supposedly provide some benefit is how your skin reacts to it.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if you have a 50-year-old functioning skin, you are going to not only get the same results, you're going to get worse results because your skin is going to renew like a 50-year-old.
Yep.
If you were diligent enough, again, like going through a protocol with you for like 6 months, not a week, 6 months, and then you feel like your skin behaves like a 30-year-old skin, and then you want to test it by doing a laser and see how fast it behaves, how fast it recovers, if it gets hyperpigmented, if it gets swollen, if it holds on to liquid. Many things that is something I can live with, even though I wouldn't do it myself. That's my opinion about it. And no amount of growth factors, exosomes, anything like that is going to relieve you of the need of those, what I call prejuvenation, of that prep time.
Yeah. And the thing that I talk about quite a bit, and it's same as you, where it's like a lot of these lasers I don't have a problem with either. I have a problem with what they actually do for what they cost and what the risks potentially are. Is it worth the dollar amount? Like, they're thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Thousands. If I pay that for a BBL, Moxie, Clear and Brilliant, Halo, all these lasers that everybody asks me about, I better have a new face. And if was not
Yes.
worth the dollar
Wow. Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. You know what? That's so funny that you're saying that, because again, like for now we have like 200 med spas or whatever providers in the States that we work with. And here's the thing that I say all the time when they ask us about a new device, about anything. I'm saying, in order to ask for $3,000, or in order to get $3,000 from someone, that person believes they are getting $3,000 worth of results. Are you comfortable, promising $3,000 worth of results? Are you confident saying, "Hey, I'm going to need another $3,000 for you to see those results for real now this time"?
Yeah, you need it over and over and over.
Yeah,
And this
yeah.
is what I dealt with when I worked in the med spas and had to sell these packages.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel I was not a good saleswoman. I always had the owners in my ear. You need to sell more. Like, you could have sold this person this. Tell her she needs that. I couldn't do it because I thought a lot of them were just BS. I never saw anybody's skin walking out of that office that looked better than mine, and I wasn't doing any of these treatments.
Yes.
My skincare at home, that's it. And so my light bulbs were going off back then, and now I'm just very outspoken about it now. It doesn't mean that they are bad, and there's plenty of people who are happy with the result, but I still ask them, the result that you're happy with, do you think it was worth that much, especially something like Morpheus 8? I
No,
didn't have to
that's
take my Morpheus 8 treatments
no
because
one. No,
no, it was not worth it at all.
no, no.
No.
No one has ever gotten it makes zero biochemical functional sense that you will get good results from Morpheus 8, by the way. And if you are interested in fascia at all, you wouldn't. Anyway, I do have a question. So going back to products.
Yes.
How do you account for product interactions, sequencing, and skin sensitivity, which we avoided in our discussion 5 minutes ago? So, how do there is a lot of misinformation about, for example, interaction of vitamin C and copper peptides. Or there is, for people who have sensitive skin, like vitamin C interactions with retinol. So how do you what are your opinions about product interactions? What are you staying away from? What are you
I
not
don't
saying?
I don't
Yeah.
really focus on like it because everything that I offer and work with product wise is all working in harmony together. There are systems in place, and I've tested these
Cool.
personally. If there's something specific to an individual, that's a little bit on the individual's side to be
Yeah.
responsible for, to know some of these things, whether it be allergies or specific sensitivities to things that they have already had a history with, which a lot of them do know this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's also trial and error. We're
Yeah.
not going to know how something is reacting with your skin until we start and see.
Yeah.
Everybody is so different and individual. There is no way on earth to know how a product or a system is going to react with somebody's skin, period. There's just
Yeah.
no. So it is more, and I am just not the studies and science girl. I am the real life, let's try something and see how it goes girl, and also base it on a certain amount of,
Yeah.
study, or sorry, not studies, but
Experience.
experiments,
Yeah.
right? Like client experience. And I go off of that. If I had a pattern of clients that were experiencing similar things, there would be something to take into consideration about specific combinations of products or
Yeah.
things like that. But it's never been that way. There's always just different cases, there's different adjustments. It's very individual, and why I think the consultations are so important, the protocols are so important, but also I'm at a little bit of a crossroads because I'm not able to continue business this way. Like, I can't continue to offer one-on-one consultations. I'm one person, I have hundreds of clients, and there's follow-up too. So it's not just the one conversation that we're having. We speak, they have my email. It's a constant,
Yeah.
and I don't have the
I
capacity.
don't know. I don't know if it makes any sense to you. That's a side discussion. But we're working on a project of building an AI bot for clinics that has all of our protocols and a lot of the about 300 what ifs,
Yeah.
that I would say probably 70-80% of the scenarios that a provider is going to meet are going to be housed there. And then obviously someone at the front desk won't have to go through. We used to give like ledgers, like a book, and it didn't even have like an appendix in the back. So
Yeah.
so someone could go ahead and say to this bot, hey, this lady is 35 years old and that's what she's interested in, and you're going to get like an out, like some kind of protocol, right? So
Let's
uh,
discuss later because that is something I'm
oh
going
yeah, cool,
to
for
build
sure, easy.
right for sure.
Another thing that we have, and that's a real here's a real problem we have. We've developed a dry blood spot test. We need to start running a pilot with you, to be honest. Dry blood spot test that would tell you basically a kind of a integumentary system is your hair, skin, and nails.
Mhm.
It's going to give you a grade of how well your cells function for hair, skin, and nails.
Is this the metabolomics?
Yeah, metabolomics test. And then it will also offer products that would offset that, and hopefully it would also supplement on things that are going to offset that holistically.
Mhm.
The problem is it costs us about $500 to run for a test. Yeah.
That's not
Because
bad. $500 to run it. Oh, it costs you guys $500. It costs them.
yeah, we don't even want to make $1 off of it.
Okay.
We don't want to make $1.
Mhm.
So we should run a pilot and see if people, if that's something that helps you cut through the noise.
Sure.
And then maybe even have a shorter consultation, or at least like if people are willing to do it every 6 months, then they will definitely get they could see the difference on a cellular level, and they're going to get a higher grade, which means younger biological age. So we should, it's FDA approved. So
Yes.
okay, I do have. We are running out of time because I promised Chelsea. Shout out to Chelsea Morrow, our editor, that these
We'll go over an hour.
We'll go over an hour. So I have a lot more to cover.
Okay.
So maybe shortly, do you have like a short, like not a short, but do you have a difference, an innate difference of a protocol of a 30-plus-year-old and a 50-plus-year-old?
Yes, it's gonna be a lot smaller in their 30s. I don't want them on a super heavy routine because
Yeah,
I want to build on it. That is another thing that I'm big on is buildable routines. So
yeah,
there's no need to get you everything all at once. Let's start here, depending on 30s or 50s, and see how your skin responds, number one, because I also don't want people wasting money. I don't want them, investing in a huge system that they might not like. I want to kind of gauge it. We're going to gauge this together. We're going to start you here, see how your skin does. Okay, let's introduce something here and here. Same thing with your 30s. We'll build on that, but we're going to start a lot slower. Like we're going to
yeah,
start on like 4 or 5 products max. I'm not going to start you off with like all the anti-aging things, maybe 1 serum versus 2. So yeah, those do vary depending on age and exact concerns and goals. And again, especially if you're in your 30s, I'm going to be way more worried about what you're doing with your diet and making sure that your foundations are super, super healthy so that you have long-term skin health over the products being, 5 or 10. It doesn't
yeah,
matter. You need to make sure that you're doing the right things now because when you're in your
yeah,
50s, you're at a certain stage now where it's like, okay, are we going to be considering possible surgery? Like
yeah.
that's what I talk to women about because they're always like, I don't know what to do about my hooded eyes, or I just wish my face would do this, or I can't
Hmm.
see my neck. I'm like, come to Jesus moment. This is surgery. This is not going
Yeah.
to products. Do not do
Do
this.
not do.
So
Do
let's
not do. Do not come. But
yeah.
also, do not do anything that you think your muscles are going to fix magically, your face tone or anything like that.
People believe it. They do think that.
Well, I do think that there is something about. I am alone here. Okay, what I'm saying right now. The surgeons who agree with me are few and far between.
Yeah.
But I think someone in their 30s, as long as they don't have structural issues like TMD, TMJ,
Mhm.
they should start either chew very tough things, like I'm sure you do, or do a jazzerciser. And the reason is, and by the way, I would even get the cheap Amazon knockoff that sits on
The
your molars rather than in the front of the mouth.
Okay.
Actually, both are good. They have their own.
You're reminding
um,
me that I need to get this. I used to chew chisel gum, which my friend
Yeah,
Joe used to have. He sold or got rid of the company, but it was that sap
yeah,
gum where it was
yeah, yeah,
super
yeah,
hard.
yeah. 100%. So there are many reasons. That's like, if anyone's interested in like the bigger picture here, just read Breath by James Nestor. Um, Great book, easy book, is an easy read as well. But for our discussion, there are two things that we lose with age: muscle tone. But the real second thing is bone mass.
Yes.
So we need weight bearing in order to preserve and cultivate bone mass. And that is really what's going on here, aside from everything else that would, like muscle tone or anything like that, which would also improve. It's really that bone mass. So we
Yeah.
thought a long time of giving those for free when people when
Order.
people buy products. But
Yeah.
because of the TMD aspect, we always go back and forth because Anastasia has TMD, and that's not something that she can do.
Right.
But the muscle jazzerciser type, the muscle stimulators, in my opinion, are great for product penetration. They're not that good at like cultivating muscle mass or
Yes.
tightening or anything like that.
Right.
With respect. Um, okay, so then I'm gonna try and move through fast. So let's maybe tell me in a like a rapid what's it called, rapid
I-
fire round.
mm.
What are like what's the first thing that pops to your head is when I say this, as far as like a bespoke protocol? Hyperpigmentation in mature skin.
I say retinol for sure.
Mhm.
I say derma rolling for sure. And I say make sure it's hyperpigmentation versus melasma. If it's melasma, it needs to be an internal focus, meaning liver detox, liver support. And we need to focus on your hormone balancing. If you have a
Yeah,
history of birth control,
that's
if you're a
that's
mom,
what I have.
yep.
That's what I have. And every time I overtrain and my hormones go haywire because I'm an idiot. I go,
Oh,
I train with professional jiu-jitsu athletes, like I'm going to compete in the Olympics or whatever. Every time, then I go to the sun, boom, melasma. Loss of elasticity and sagging.
Definitely retinol or retinaldehyde, a stem cell serum for sure, derma rolling for sure. I also recommend looking at collagen peptides internal.
Yeah, I would say within that, by the way, that's something I forgot to say about, stem cell serum. We're going to send you a prototype of our platelet-derived exosome serum that
Yes.
we make, basically PRP-derived exosomes,
Perfect.
which are really cool. But with great power come great drying. So products that are human-based, like exosomes, stem cells, they're going to make you more dry. So bear that in mind, guys. Okay. Speaking about that, dryness and dull texture.
Okay, definitely if they don't have an exfoliation treatment to include it. But what I find is that they are already exfoliating and they're doing it too much. So what we're going to do is we're not going to cleanse in the morning, which is my biggest tip. Most of them are cleansing in the morning. They're all using the exfoliation pads or some type of scrub exfoliant and they're doing it several times a week. Get rid of that completely. And then we're going to also use something like a retinol because eventually that will help to do the cell turnover, which will also plump out the skin, and a really good moisturizer. And this is where we'll build on if you need a daytime and a nighttime moisturizer, but we'll start with a good daytime moisturizer that can be used day and night, like the Youth Daily Serum or moisturizer. That is my biggest one that I recommend for things like that. But most of the time, it's just an adjustment of what they're already doing because they're definitely doing too much usually.
100%. Perimenopausal / hormonal aging changes.
Get internal testing done. Know for sure if you're in perimenopausal because a lot of people assume this based on their symptoms, and sometimes it's not that at all. We're really going to have to do more internal work before even worrying about products, and I just keep the products super simple until that part is more balanced out because the products will not do anything.
Wow, and you're so correct. And then when you do, the problem with you is that you want to set them on a path. And the path might be, when I say completely different, might be the exact opposite once their hormones are balanced out.
Right, exactly.
Especially if it's thyroid related.
Totally.
Okay, last, inflammaging, chronic low-grade inflammation in the skin.
Well, this is going to be different depending on kind of age and skin sensitivity too. A very simplistic protocol because this is almost like where we base it on sensitivity. So I just want to be really mindful of a slow process with really gentle products in the beginning, but also the diet, especially with inflammation, is where we really have to focus. That diet is going to be either the component behind the inflammation. It's also going to be the thing that can reverse it. So diet is the first focus, secondary to skincare.
So funny because I'm like, the back of my mind when I'm asking the question, I'm like, should we even mention sugar? Is it are you how do you mention it in passing? Do you believe in yourself when you're telling them, or do you believe in their compliance when you're telling them, hey, sugar is something you should take out? Do you believe they're going to follow that?
But they're very honest in their forms. Everybody has a form that is either a great diet seemingly, but at the bottom it's always like, I will say that sugar, I do have this on the weekends and sugar's my one little vice. And I do have those conversations where I'm like, just so you know, because I tell you to get rid of sugar does not mean that you have to sacrifice the sweet component. You can still have something sweet without having refined sugar. Well, sugar itself, refined sugar, is absolutely breaking down your collagen. It's going to rapidly age you. So if I tell you that one thing and scare the crap out of you, I promise you, you will start changing your mind about how much sugar you have and just switch to maple syrup instead, or honey.
Or dates.
Or
Shout out to dates.
Shout out to dates.
Okay, fantastic. I have literally 3 more segments that I wanted to go for, but I do want to ask you something to close it up, and we're going to have to do more of that. You just had explant surgery. First of all, congratulations, and your it's really cool that you're sharing about it. And what's really cool is that I see you started a trend, like people past your, I don't know if that's my algorithm, but like it seems like people are more open with sharing about it. So it's really
Oh,
cool
are
to
they? I
see.
don't know. I mean, I'm glad if they are because, yeah, I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah. And my question is, framing it for our discussion here is you had first experience with major surgery recovery. So I'm wondering if you wanted to highlight the things that you felt allowed you to recover as comfortably, because that's what I got from following your journey,
Mhm.
and as quickly and as effectively. What would those things be?
Well, as I'm sure you know, because we did discuss my protocol,
Yeah.
pre and post, and it was very aligned with, what your recommendations were to what I already had. And
Hmm.
it's peptides for sure
Yeah.
were a game changer. And this is what me and Tyson have worked with several clients. We work with outside of skincare, we work with clients on their health and things like recovery, and pre and post surgery care. The peptides were a huge
Yeah.
component in just detox. So I was doing, like topical glutathione. I was doing, castor oil packs just to detox from the anesthesia. The
Yes.
peptides were where you could just feel incredible faster. That
Yes.
where you just are. It's like you didn't even have surgery, and just like nourishing food obviously is a
Yes.
staple for me no matter what. But getting enough electrolytes, liquids, and all of that. But, staying on top of it with peptides and not even all the supplements. I don't care about all
Yeah.
the supplements. I'm talking about like BPC 157. We have thymosin
Yeah.
alpha to keep your immune system really strong. And it's really important to start pre and post. And a lot of people don't understand. And granted, listen to your doctor, I guess. But it's like, these things you can take before surgery because they all
Yes.
like
Yes.
everything before surgery. Certain supplements, yes, because you don't want to thin the blood and all of that. The peptides you can stay on. Literally, I took my BPC the day of my surgery, day after my surgery.
Yes.
So, yeah, peptides were the top number one thing for sure.
Yeah. 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 100%. And as we discussed, like some peptides, such as BPC, they build up in your system. So you might want to consider taking them. So they build up for around 6 weeks before they
You
peak.
have to take it before for
Yeah,
sure.
you want to take it before. So that's really, really cool. And I think maybe that's a whole podcast in
Another,
and on
I go
itself.
through
Yeah.
the whole protocol, but yeah, we'll save that maybe for
Cool,
another.
cool. Listen, Jamie, it's such a pleasure to have a relationship with you.
Thanks. Same.
And we feel blessed that you are part of our family, and we will see you in person very, very soon next week.
Yeah.
I don't know when this airs, but next week, as we're recording, is Biohacking Conference, which we're going to see each other there. And I wish you continued success. Keep doing a fantastic work, and be well.
Thank you so much, Amatei. It's good to see you.
Oh, before
Yep.
before I end, how do people? You see, I forgot everything already. How do people? Where do people follow you to get free information? For example, I like your blogs very much.
Yes.
Uh, how do people work with you? Yeah.
All the things. So new website is jamieann.co. Make it
Hmm.
really easy for people instead of this whole long word.
Yeah.
Instagram is still Jamie Ann Aesthetics because it's just a foundation that I built and it's there for forever at this point. So at Jamie Ann Aesthetics is Instagram. A lot of my free information, blogs, recipes, all of the Young Goose product line is available on my website. And then I also just have a ton of information on my Instagram page as well. So whether it be links, whether it be you want to know my surgery protocol, that's
Hmm.
also on the blog. You want to know just a day to day, what my day looks like, what I do, what I eat, all of that's on my Instagram and kind of crosses over to the website as well. But both.
And funny because the latest blog, if I remember correctly, is pretty similar to what we spoke about today, as far as like how to build a protocol, right? So that's a good one that you just
Yeah,
shared.
I have the skincare for each decade. So what I recommend in your,
Yeah.
teen years, which isn't really anything, and then 20s, 30s, 40s plus. So I give kind of a rough idea of what I'd recommend in those stages.
Very cool. Fantastic. Okay, Jamie, again, thank you very much.
Of course.
And we'll see each other soon.
Yeah, we'll see each other next week.
Bye.
Bye.